This podcast is sponsored by absolutely no one, because I do it all myself. I hope you enjoy. Hello there, folks. Top of the morning to ya. All right. Welcome back. Welcome to the first episode of this year, because January doesn't count, as we know. And I've attempted a few episodes. They just did not land, y'all. They did not land. I sincerely hope that the visual turns out all right, and whoever is watching this on YouTube can see that there's some fish swimming in the back. I think it might be my most clever thing I've done. All right. So, hey, how's it going? Thank you for choosing to listen. Let's talk about where we're at. Where are we at? Well, first, I am on my period. Okay? I'm on my period and I don't feel my best physically. And it's weird when you have like physical pain, but then emotionally you're fine. Like I could be in a great mood right now, but my physical body's like, no, that's really hard to be in a good mood because you're hurting and you're tired. And so you may ask, why are you recording? And then I asked myself, well, I feel that I always record an episode when I'm like manic. Like I feel manic when I record. And there's this sense of urgency to recording, especially when I get like this, like a random creative impulse to record. And I noticed then the episodes I'm just not proud of. And the ones that I'm most proud of are the ones that are like come naturally and come very slowly. And some may say they come when I'm like not feeling my quote unquote best version of myself, which is right now like in an amazing mood, not in an amazing mood. But I feel like speaking because I do know what I want to talk about, and it's based upon what I literally just said. I want to talk about urgency and the quickness that humans act on that sometimes lead to things that we later regret because we were acting out of urgency instead of things that just take time to build, to grow, to gestate. I've been using the word gestate and like gestation, and it kind of feels like a dirty word. I know it's not, but it just like feels like it would be like a dirty word. But things that take recalibrating, and yeah, I just want to talk about urgency. That's one of the things that I'm bringing into this year, to not act on urgency. Like a genuine practice is to not act out of urgency, because I think acting out of urgency means to act on impulse and anxiety and ego as well. And I think in some cases it can be subjective, like sometimes you got to act in a quick moment. I'm not really talking about it like that. I'm talking about when you're in a mindset, in a place where things just feel like, if I'm not able to say this thing right now, if I'm not able to act right now, if I'm not able to respond right now in this moment, that's acting on urgency, and that's acting out of a place where it's more anxiety and fear based rather than a calmness, an intuitive decision, so on and so forth. Burping. As a recovering people pleaser, hey, how's it going? I really can recall like most of my decision making when it comes to other people and kind of pleasing them. It was all acting on urgency, because I thought in this moment I only have I have a few seconds to make everything right, to avoid conflict. So this is what I need to do right now, and it ends up like I'm just doing something that's not in integrity at all, right? I've noticed that the more I feel in alignment with my values and my boundaries, or I just feel alignment in even just like with my day, like waking up and feeling like the things that I'm doing, I feel aligned with right now. I never notice a sense of quickness or urgency to get certain things done. Even if I have tasks to check off, there's no sense of urgency to it. There's a sense of like trust that I will get it done. And I think that comes with, I think when it comes to urgency and like acting out of ego and out of anxiety, we kind of lack a trust in ourselves, because we think that in order to get the response that we want, in order to get the like a dopamine hit that we want, in order to get the goal that we want to achieve, if it's rooted in a place of not trusting ourselves, then don't we act upon urgency to it. Does that make sense? What's coming to me right now is speaking on this sense of urgency that I'm talking about is more in the small inner workings of how we communicate with others, how we act on little decisions we make throughout the day. I think in a big forum way, we don't want to make big decisions based off of urgency and feeling like we need to know immediately how to act on this. I think that's just a given. I feel like any sort of big contemplation that you're contemplating requires time and requires like processing it and gestation. I feel like that's just a given. I don't necessarily want to act on any big decision impulsively. But when I talk about a sense of urgency and things that need to feel so quick, and that we need to know the answer to something so quick, comes from like the little small decisions in your day. Talking with people, having an expectation that like you need to respond quickly to people because of this sense of urgency that you kind of put upon yourself, whereas you can actually have ownership over yourself and take as long as you need to answer a text respectfully, or when it comes to making plans or doing creative projects. It's not acting on not acting out of fear and obligation, but out of actual enjoyment of wanting to create something, or actual interest in wanting to plan something with someone, with yourself, and not feeling this obligation that you need to do it. In some ways, like what I'm talking about with urgency, it's kind of more of a, it's definitely more of a feeling that comes within as well. Anytime I develop romantic feelings for someone, anytime prior, we'll say, there was, come here, baby, that there were romantic feelings developed, or even like new platonic feelings within friendships, this, an urgency would wash the fuck over me, because I'm like, they they are now deemed as an important person in my life. Therefore, there's this sense of urgency now to keep them in my circle. So then the urgency, which is rooted in like a fear based of an abandonment, I then fear or feel that I need to act quickly with said person, or get a response quickly from said person, or me myself respond quickly, or have expectations for how I think a relationship should play out. That urgency is like, well, I need it quickly, instead of allowing things to like bloom, slow burn over time. And I've done this with in so many relationships in my life. And luckily, the ones that actually are sustainable have sustained. And, there comes a period where I think I just get super, and I think this kind of goes along with a lot of people pleasing out there, but I get super excited. My nervous system, it kind of gets in a fight or flight mode a lot of the time. So then that urgency to kind of validate that this is meant to be what it's supposed to be contradicts entirely what it actually sorry it actually contradicts what is actually supposed to come of a sustaining friendship relationship, which is nothing fast paced, at least in my internal ecosystem. How that brings peace in my life when it comes to relationships with people, it requires maturing and sowing seeds and letting it plant, and then letting sun come in and rain, and letting time do its dance, But, as a human with wounds, as a human with conditioned patterns, I give myself grace for all of that. But I get so excited. My body gets very excited. And I say yes to everything. So I think moving forward, how do I apply it is I just become aware of it more in the realm of myself growing and maturing and meeting new people, and being a human and having feelings and the beauty and all of that, I just become aware of that urgency part of me, because it then puts expectations on the other person if they're not acting up to the urgency that you unconsciously would have acted on before. So that's on when it comes to people. Creative projects, creativity is something that I've been really extremely just noticing more in my life, and how my creativity and my creative projects are finding its way in my life, and how important it is. And then being like, okay, I get impulses, I get inspiration, and I love when I get inspiration. But then when the urgency kicks in, it feels like I need to complete it now, or that motivation for it will be gone. And part of me understands that. Part of me understands when you get that, like, that sliver of motivation to finally pick up your guitar and sing a song, or that sliver to finally write clearly music, write a song, or paint that painting, read that book, write that book. When you get that like sliver of motivation, it is important to act on it, but I think the important thing is the intention behind it. Because one part of it could just be the sense of urgency to get it done now, and you're not even like in the flow of what it feels like to just love what you're doing creatively. And then that intention is not in the frequency that you want to be in. It just feels like you're doing it out of obligation because you have to do it. So then you don't even create something that that you're necessarily proud of. And then the other line is when you get that motivational hit and you act on it, is the intention just out of pure curiosity, out of pure eudaimonium, to experience like a creative sense of flow in this moment because you haven't had it in months and weeks and days. That's beautiful. There was a few months last year where I was just painting a lot, and I never even considered myself an artist in that. I would not say I'm a painter, but I definitely surprised myself in what I did create, because I was so in the groove of creating something that I wanted to do it every day because I felt like I needed to. But my intention behind it was like just getting in that mode of my paintbrush and me and just painting something, instead of this urgency to paint something to like prove myself that I'm an artist, or to paint something because I said I was going to do it, so now I feel like I have to paint something. I think a good example of a creative project or just a creative hobby that started to act out of urgency was when I was learning the guitar. I randomly, impulsively bought a guitar off of Facebook Marketplace, not knowing anything about it. Loved it. Her name is Stevie. She's beautiful. I got it, and then I started learning casually, and it was like, this is amazing. Like, this is a way for me to sing without fucking YouTube karaoke, right? Because all I wanted to do was sing, because that was the most important thing for me. But I wanted to do something whilst my pipes were piping. So I started playing the guitar, like just like little chords, like not impressive at all. But I started to get annoyed with myself, and I felt like I was only playing it out of urgency to just like I part of me understands like when you have to like learn something, you have to go through the trials of like hating it for a little bit. But this was different because there was no goal at the end of it. Like I didn't buy this guitar so I could be a guitarist. I bought this guitar because it was gonna be like a catalyst, like a catalyst to help me sing more and use my voice more. So I then started to not enjoy it because I felt this urgency to be good at it after like a month. So then I put it down, and honestly, y'all, I've barely picked it up since, but I still have it, and I know that no part of me is like, I'll never not pick up the guitar again. Because actually, a couple weeks ago, I did, and I was strumming along to it, and I got into this flow of singing and playing it, and I was like, this is the feeling that I like. And it was really nice. Hey, what are you doing? So that's an example. When you start feeling a sense of urgency when it comes to your creative projects and the intention behind it is just feeling obligated to do it, I just advise you to take a step back, because there was a sense of urgency when it came to this podcast. I felt like I was going through a little rebrand moment. I was doing a little graphic design, and then I was like, how can I, you know, shift this entire this creative project I have and make it new and better. And I love the brainstorming aspect of it. But then it started feeling like there was a pressure I was putting a pressure on myself to produce content that was like the best I've ever done in the span of like just 2 weeks or something, because I wanted to get new stuff out in January. So then I'm like, okay, well, I have to think of shit, like new shit to come up with, and then I have to edit it, and then I need to make it look better. I need to get a new camera, and all of this was this like pressure and this urgency to have it all finished. And then I was just recording things that like it did not make sense. I was just talking, and I was like, I don't even like what I'm saying right now. So yeah, that's a huge example too. I will say though, out of everything that I'm saying, please take care of your creativity. Like, your creativity is the childlike wonder we have. That's my belief system, that it matures and it ages as we age, and our creativity becomes like, if we tap into that part of ourselves, it becomes more reformed and wise, but it always comes from a childlike place. So please just take care of that shit. Don't feel like you need to perform. Don't feel like you need to produce any of your creativity out of urgency to yourself to like prove to yourself as well that you're creative. Like, that stuff takes so much time to be what it's supposed to be. And that might not even mean like on a people viewing worldly level. That could just be like an internal thing. Make sense? Oh my God. A quote. I have to bring a quote in. Like, I love a quote. Quotes save my life. A quote that I literally say to myself every single day is the fastest way to get anywhere is to go after it slowly. I literally say it every single day because I love the paradox of it. I love a good paradox. Um, I like how it can be so frustrating to admit the fastest way to get somewhere is to go after it slowly. And it's literally, it's so true. I think the friendships that I have that actually are sustainable have come from a slow burning process. And even the ones that I've come to realize aren't sustainable for me have come from a place of slow burn because I'm I'm learning the compatibility with myself and others. And we can't all be perfect, you know? Like we have instances where we act quickly and stuff just works out, and that's awesome. And I would say like I've experienced some great connections with people through a quick paced timeline. Um, but I will say one thing that if I had to, if hindsight is 2020, if I had a one thing I would do differently, it is always like wishing that I could have just slowed myself down a little bit because of how beautiful that time is with them. And also, like, think about a time where you created something. I feel that, like, 99% of the time, it comes from taking your time with it and, like, letting it, just letting it grow from just giving it space and giving it time. The fastest way to get somewhere is to go after it slowly. Okay, I'm going to stop now. But urgency is a funny thing. And it's just something to practice and notice about yourself because we're not going to be perfect if we apply it. There's always going to be something that we fuck up a little bit or that we wish we would have taken it slowly, more slowly. We're human, you know, and our ego likes to feel safe acting out of urgency. And it overall wants to keep us safe. Like that is anxiety. Hey. But we love it no matter what. We hold space for our anxiety just as much as we hold space for our joy. All right? Hopefully this resonated. And yeah, thank you for listening. And I hope you have a fantabulous rest of your day. All right. Please send me wishes to my uterus. Okay? Bye. How do I turn this off?